Welcome. How's everyone doing? I'm Lord
Yes.
Krit of Everest, and
Yay.
I'm joined by my co-host Baron Pacific 414 and the Phantom Bulligans. I'm sorry, Hooligans. As
Yes.
Ambassador Chinkar, I mean
We're
Cash Money.
we're here on Asses Productions, yes.
It is the hour of scampering.
Yes.
It's Oracle on 5.
That's Orcolon 5. I like that, yeah.
Well, we are here to talk about Babylon 5. Some of these people have seen it before, some haven't. I've rewatched it again. And I wanted to do a stream on it, and this is gonna be a routine stream, but we're gonna go by seasons. Maybe we'll do parts where we do part one, season two, and then part two, season two.
Yeah, we might have to do that because of how intricately detailed the story starts getting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But we're gonna focus on season one. So
Huzzah!
I'm gonna I'm gonna start and give it up to my other co-host Baron to introduce us to the world of Babylon 5.
Well, Babylon
Um,
5 started off on what was going to be known as the P10 Network, Primetime Entertainment Network. And it was going to be one of their signature shows, along with Kung Fu, The Religion Continues, and Time Tracks. The idea of Babylon 5 came about in 1988 with J. Michael Zazinski, the creator, who was in the shower, and it came to him, boom, this idea. And of course, he started shopping around for it. One of the places he shopped around at was Paramount. And Paramount says, "No, we already got ourselves a science fiction show." Not long after that, they announced they were going to do a TV show about a space station. Well, Warner Brothers got a hold of this. They did a 2-hour movie called The Gathering, which I think it was met with kind of a mixed result. Even with me, it's like, well, this is interesting, but a year later, they started with the season, and each season is now titled. This season is called Science Importance, which is also one of the episodes. And it's going to be important. People will dismiss this season of Babylon 5, but this is like the Hobbit to the Lord of the Rings. This is where you get introduced to the universe, the characters, and more importantly, there are many things that are dropped in here that we will see and get fulfilled later, sometimes a couple years away, straight from the first episode. You have it, which is Midnight on the Firing Line. A fantastic episode. Is the episode that sucked me in. Because unlike other science fiction shows, J. Michael Zazinski was trying to keep it more scientific, even more so than Star Trek. And you saw that with the space battles. I mean, that's what grabbed me is, watching the space battle between the fighters and how they were acting in space. It's like, yes, this is how it would be. And I was drawn in, of course, great actors and actresses. Of course, Jerry Doyle, Phil McCracken calls him, the poor man's, or the Bruce Willis from Wish. Excellent throughout the entire series. Peter Jurasik, who plays Londo, the Centauri. And, of course, Andreas Katsoulis, who is just spectacular as Jakar. And the rest of the cast as well. Claudia Christian as Ivanova. So that's what you generally got. And as they said, it's 10 years after the Earth-Minbari War. The commander of the station, Sinclair, is considered one of the big heroes. He was part of the line. And one of the few survivors of the Battle of the Line, which was when the Minbari were coming down upon Earth to destroy Earth finally. And they captured him. And there was some sort of secret, and it's still mysterious. What is it about Sinclair that stopped the battle, that stopped the war? The Minbari surrendered, and right on the cusp of victory. And of course, like I said, all this stuff will be paid off as you go along with the series. Even the 5th season, which is considered by many the poorest. Was that a good beginning? How'd I do?
You did wonderful.
Thank you. I just hear crickets in the background.
I sorry I had my mic muted. But yes, this pretty much starts with Sinclair's term as commander.
Mm-hmm.
This is much different from TV shows where this is a whole story planned from the beginning. Mm-hmm. But like some shows, story, they're starting the inkling, the connection, the thread, mind you.
Hmm.
So a lot of season one is kind of like Deep Space Nine, where it's kind of standalone episodes.
Hmm.
But every once in a while, you get a piece of the bigger plot, or a backstory, or a secret
Hmm.
that is yet to be unraveled. So,
Right. One of the big ones is even in this first episode, the election going on. This has repercussions throughout the
Mhm.
series. Um, and other episodes, as we get closer and start talking about those episodes, how they start influencing. And I'll try to sit back and say this without spoilers, especially for those who have not watched this excellent series.
hmm we will not be doing. We will do a spoiler section of the show, but we are going to go into non spoilers for now.
Hmm.
So to begin, let's cover the gathering, and we're
Hmm.
not going to take maybe an hour talking about this. We're going to take a relative
Oh.
10 minutes or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So the gathering is kind of the pilot, as you said,
Hmm.
that pretty much is it introduces the characters. It introduces the characters, the settings, and I'm trying to find some good screen caps.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was one of 5 Babylon 5 movies. The pilot movie, and then there was 4 other movies that were done for television. Another one a pilot as well. Ah.
Londa's hair is
Hmm.
even wackier than
Hmm.
um,
I got a system, Mr. Garibaldi.
Michael A. Oh, hold on. Okay, the one thing I do not like about this movie is why Delenn looks like a goblin.
Well, that came about because of what the character was originally envisioned at, and the casting of Mira Furlan was the thing that actually changed it to the Delenn that we see now. She was supposed to be an androgynous kind of creature. In fact, she's supposed to have been more male. And then I'm not going to go any further because it'll start spoiling things for season 2. The same concept continued, but changed a little bit in that way. But being that Mira, as J. Michael Jasinski said, she was just too beautiful to be put under all that makeup, and so they feminized Delenn.
And then there's the designs of. They changed the designs a little bit
Mm-hmm.
of
Right.
Jakar and Alando, and
Mm-hmm.
um, the one thing I can say about the Gathering, I like the Kosh storyline, but I do think the movie is kind of a bore.
Right.
Um, it's kind of just. I do like Sinclair though. I
Mm-hmm.
think Sinclair had a lot more energy in the movie than he did in the series.
Right.
We'll get into that
Right.
eventually, but um, I want. So let's go to the other hosts, Mike and Cash. What are your thoughts on the movie, the movie of Babylon 5?
I've always felt that the intro movie was a little slow, although
Mhm.
I can understand why it had that slow pacing because they're trying to get you introduced to this universe and how this particular universe works as opposed to any other sci-fi series that had come out at that time. And it's interesting to note that some characters that appeared in the movie didn't necessarily appear in the series afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, even though it is slow, it's still a nice introduction to the world of Babylon 5 and how it works and how it's more grounded in reality than it is in science fiction and fantasy. With the way, the ships operate and, do their attack patterns in space, how that all works out. So it's a good start.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Cash Money?
I I don't know. I agree with all of that. I mean, it's just the thing is the show. Yes, it is a little slow, but you can already tell Sinclair is a strong captain. Excuse me, commander. I shouldn't say. I don't know, captain, commander. I'll just say commander. Uh, and he will. As this season goes on, we're going to find out more about him. But it would be hard, as we already see, as the first episode talks about, that he's the commanding officer is accused of attempted murder of a diplomat. So there's already going to be problems. So you have a big station, you have aliens and humans trying to work together. So they're starting to establish that, which I find interesting.
The the one thing about this with that pilot, and as you're saying, there are cast members that left and didn't continue on because of that big year lag between the movie in 1993 and the series when it started up in '94. And actually, Tamlin Tameda, or who plays Takashima, Lieutenant Commander Takashima, she went on to be in the Picard series.
All hands on deck. All hands on deck. We got a shadow amongst us.
Yeah, see, that's the best.
I don't trust him.
I don't either.
I hate you all. Well, at least he's consistent.
And there is two versions of this movie actually. The original pilot that was released back in 1993, and then when TNT took over for the fifth season of Babylon 5, they approved of J. Michael Straczynski kind of re-editing and re-editing that pilot because he wasn't happy with it. He thought it was too dark, and dark in the sense of the atmosphere, the lights and stuff like that. It should have been a little brighter, and some of the pacing. He had a big problem with the person who edited it, and he's not happy with the pilot. And even when it was redone, which I'm sure the ones that you all saw, the new music was put in there that was done by Christopher Frank. Or Frankie, or however you want to pronounce it. Before that, I believe it was Stuart Copeland who did the music for the pilot movie, I believe. Don't hold me to that, though. I happen to have a VHS of the original pilot because I just thought, it's just so different enough.
Different, okay.
And in the pilot movie, when they start out, with the wonderful introduction by Orlando Malari, he does identify Sinclair as the last commander of Babylon 5. Needless to say, they had to edit that out for, reasons we'll run into.
All right. Now, since he's here, I want Phil. What's your opinion on the movie Babylon 5?
I liked it.
No.
I thought it was good. Yes. I liked it. I liked it a lot. You'll get no complaints here about anything Babylon 5. The only thing I would slightly say, if there's anything I should say bad, that season 2 onward is an improvement. Not just because, they replaced the actor that played Sinclair. Not a big deal. But everything in season 2 was better. The graphics, the acting, the cinematography, everything was better. So, but I like season 1, so I liked it all. I have no complaints on anything Babylon 5, including the cheap man's version of Bruce Willis.
Oh, come on.
I'm not. He got that Bruce Willis in him, man. It's just a cheaper version.
Actually, J. Michael Straczynski pictured for Garibaldi Bruce Willis. Because at the time when he thought of the idea of Babylon 5, that was the actor who was on his mind to play Garibaldi. And the other one was John Rhys Davies to play Sinclair. That was his idea and thought that, have someone like him, or hopefully even him, to play Sinclair if it came to fruition.
I would. I don't think I could see John Rhys Davies as the commander, though. Mm-hmm. If any of you played the game Wing Commander 3, I think John
Not in a
Rhys
long
Davies,
time.
his role in that is the best he can do in sci-fi. Nothing against him. I don't
Hmm.
see him as a leading character. He's more of the supporting kind of actor you want.
Hmm. Yeah.
I would have liked to seen him guest star in the show though.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
Yep, that would have been wonderful.
Um, so my opinion on final thoughts. I do think though that the pilot movie of Babylon 5 is a little more cinematic than the series, and I know he didn't like the lighting, but
Oh no, that J.
like,
Michael Straczynski didn't like the lighting. I was just commenting what he said. That wasn't saying about me.
not no, I was referencing the creator.
Oh, okay, okay, sorry.
And I didn't like some of the makeup in it, but yeah, I kind of like the lighting, and the lighting reminds me a lot of it's just a more cinematic kind of early '90s B movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you guys seen Robot Jocks?
Oh yeah, great movie. Great movie.
Yeah, it
Gary
kind of
Graham.
reminded me of. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that, the pilot. But back to so now that we've covered the pilot, let's talk about the series as a whole, and we'll start with
Okay.
the pilot, or
Okay.
not the pilot, the first episode of the series.
Okay, one last thing before we move on. I just want to say very quickly here: the pilot is the only episode of Babylon 5 or movie of Babylon 5 that was filmed in the standard version of what televisions were at that time. J. Michael Straczynski had the foresight to see that the TVs that we have today, the large screen, wide television screens, was going to become something in the future. The rest of the series was filmed that way. And the original DVD releases, they are that way, but with this new enhancement they did with HBO and that's out there, they returned it back to standard television size for some reason. I don't know why. That's it.
I have a quick question. If someone can
Yeah.
refresh my memory.
Yeah.
Yes.
Originally, Babylon 5 was on what TV station?
It was on what they called Primetime Entertainment Network. It was an attempt by Warner Brothers to do another network. That network had, of course, Babylon 5 as one of their flagships, as well as Kung Fu, The Legend Continues, and Time Tracks. So it could very...
took over after they did. It was
them-
TNT, right?
Yeah, TNT took over for the 5th season, the movies, the 4 additional movies that they did, and the Crusade series.
Well, if I remember correctly, and I could be a little foggy on this, wasn't there an attempt for Sci-Fi to add more seasons to this, but they couldn't agree on a price?
Yeah, well, there was talk about one of the people that they're hoping they would go to was Sci-Fi Channel for the 5th season, and of course, again, even though this was a really low budgeted series, they passed on that. Sci-Fi Channel just couldn't do it, and that's why it went to TNT. But Sci-Fi Channel, I believe, did do Legends of the Rangers, which was an attempt.
Yep.
Which was an attempt to do another TV series in the Babylon 5 universe. That didn't come to fruition.
Okay, that's very interesting. I feel like I do remember this. They did have like a special on Sci-Fi. It was that Rangers thing.
Mm-hmm.
This had to have been 2000, a long time ago, when Sci-Fi was fun to watch.
Yeah. It would have been like 2003, maybe something like that, around that time period.
Okay.
I can't remember the exact year that one came out with, but yeah, that was on Sci-Fi. It was an attempt to do that.
Yeah, and then I think soon after that, a lot of the main actors started to pass away. I know the Doctor passed away. I think he passed away shortly after Jakar. I think Jerry Doyle passed away.
Actually, yeah. The first one that passed away was unfortunately Stephen Franklin, played by Richard Franklin. He died of an aneurysm And then the next one that passed away was Andreas Katsoulis, who was suffering from cancer, and then he went. Along the way, also you had Stephen Furst, who passed away not too long ago. He died of diabetes. Who played Veer. Jerry Doyle unfortunately died basically results of alcoholism. He was, basically he drank himself to death in some sense. He was in Las Vegas.
Back to the bottle.
So everyone noted how much how much he drank when he was at conventions and such. Mira Furlan unfortunately passed away not too long ago. Also, who played Delin, and I think it was cancer that got her. Also,
Yeah, it was cancer that unfortunately took her from us.
Right now, the original Doctor Johnny Secca, he passed away as well, unfortunately, and of course we haven't seen him yet. I don't know if we've seen him yet or not, but Zathras. Yeah, Zathras in Babylon Squared. Zathras, Tim Schultz, or however you pronounce his name. Unfortunately, he died in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah, we did. Yep. We did see Zathras in the
Voice of the Wilderness. Yeah.
Yep. No. Zathras, no. Zathras, no. Cash has big chin.
Yep. And unfortunately, he passed away in an auto accident.
Has an amazing accident. Chin. You need to stop being jealous of. It's all right. Some people just don't have a great chin like that. It's okay.
Well, look at Jakar. Look at that magnificent chin he has.
That's right.
And he has that voice. Oh, and as we start going into the series,
this character, it's the spots.
Yeah. And the thing is what's great to note. Everything you see in this first episode is going to get turned on its head. Characters that you see in this episode, you think you have an idea what they are? No. Things change. And believably change, by the way. You see a true growth because just like Krit was saying, this is a book for television. This was planned out, a season by season, how characters would go. So you're going to see some dramatic changes and it's wonderful changes, and that's where the talents of these actors and actresses are that don't get enough credit, honestly, that were on this show. Oh, and Michael O'Hara, also, to add to it, Michael O'Hara unfortunately passed away, too.
Yes, he passed away. So, he's only in the first season. I guess we better address this now. Michael O'Hara is only in the first season, and everyone thought they had fired him because of his acting. No, he had left the series because he had severe mental issues, and you can kind of see it if you rewatch season 1. Compared to The Gathering, he thought the FBI was after him and stuff, and he was telling JMS a lot of weird things, and JMS wanted to give him the help, and he even promised to pause the series, but Sinclair or Michael O'Hara, he didn't want people to lose their work, so he says, "Just do it without me."
Yeah, and some of his actions, because of his mental illness, I believe schizophrenia is one of them, kind of alienated him from some of the other actors and actresses on the show. There was a particular feud between him and Jerry Doyle that sometimes almost came to fisticuffs because of this. So, even though they look like the best of friends on screen, it was kind of a strained relationship, unfortunately, because of his mental illness.
Yeah, it was probably the best for him to. It was probably for the best. I would have liked to see the original story of the show play out if there was no changes whatsoever. But I liked that the creator of this show, he had always an exit plan if an actor could not return or had to leave.
Well, he did bring him back as a guest. So that tells you a lot right there,
Yeah, he had 2 guest star reappearances. Plus, also, you notice that the telepath changed, but Pat Tolman isn't out of the game yet because, again, exit doors and entry doors. And I have to sit back and say I would have loved to see how this would have gone fully with Sinclair. But, and I'm not going to drop any spoilers here, how this happened this way, I think, made an episode that we'll be seeing coming up in the future seasons much more impactful. And I'll talk more about it when we get there. Not
All
today,
right.
kids. Not today, kids.
So we're gonna skim and just cover, plots of the season. So a plot of the season is a soul hunter, or the soul hunter. He's come to take Delen's soul.
We didn't talk
This.
about Midnight.
Oh, I thought we did.
No, we just finished talking about the Gathering, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to midnight.
Mm-hmm.
So the Narm attack at Outpost of Centauri Prime, that Ambassador Londo Malari's nephew is stationed on, and there's a lot of political intrigue involved with this episode. We're reintroduced to the characters again. Uh, uh, we meet. We also. Let me see if I could. We're reintroduced to the characters again. We kind of get the gist of the state of the galaxy in this episode. It pretty much is a refresher if you did not watch The Gathering. So you don't have to watch The Gathering, you can just watch this episode.
One of the things that bring into it is we've seen Jakar there. One troubling thing for the Narn is they don't have any telepaths. All the other major races have telepaths, but for some reason the Narn do not, which was a little bit of a subplot in the pilot movie, and it continues on through particularly this first season, and also all the way through. Actually, to be honest.
On back to the storyline of Midnight. So, Garibaldi, I think there's something with Raiders, right?
Right.
The
Yeah, they're being attacked by Raiders. You have, of course, the election, and the one picture for the president was actually Douglas Netter, the producer of the show. So you have, I'm trying to remember who the two presidential candidates were on that one.
Luis San Diego and some other chick.
Luis. Yeah, right. And so you have that again. There's shades of that. What's going on? Raiders, which is going to be something that's going to be a bit of a problem for them, but not throughout the entire series. Which has probably one of the most spectacular space battle scenes ever on television. Just the sheer beauty of how they do it scientifically. And what else? And of course, we're dealing with, of course, the big fight between the Narn and the Centauri.
Jakar. It is Jakar. Londo, get the way he says Jakar.
I'm sorry, that race reminds me of the French. I don't know why, but I always think the French in space.
That's part of it.
That was the point.
Yeah, it's kind of a conglomerate of Imperial Rome and France. And maybe a little bit of British Empire, because they're dealing with an empire in decline.
Another aspect we're introduced to is probably my least aspect of this show. The character, not the whole plot. We also have Talia Winters, who kind of lumbers around the station wanting to scan people. There are some good episodes with her so far in season 2. But other than that Kosh stuff that happens to her in that one episode, I don't remember much that... Oh, wait. She does stuff with Chekhov in...
right. Mind War. Mind War.
Mind War, yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have... I just have to bring this up since Krit said it. Does it every time you see Chekhov or whatever? I mean, this is a different character, but don't you always want to say, where are the vessels? Where are the vessels?
No, because he's so evil.
He's so evil? Okay.
He is so evil. But he's a friendly evil.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree
you know, the smiling snake. And when you get to see more of Bester, and we'll talk about it as we get to that episode.
Right.
We'll stick this one here.
Yes.
Oh, and that's the other thing too. That's one of the subplots of this episode. Why is Ivanova so dismissive and even disgusted by telepaths. And that gets,
they do explain her origins. They do
yep,
explain the reason why. So,
right. Mm-hmm.
but um, the conflict between the Narn and Centauri is resolved, but they do. It does hint to it does hint to the rivalry between the two races.
Mm-hmm.
We do get that backstory of Ivanova with Talia Winters, and it's just a pretty nice introduction to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like you said, you're rooting for one of some of these characters, but as the show goes on, you'll be rooting there's stuff that you wouldn't expect. I would say it's not like Deep Space Nine where and this is a thing I did not like about Deep Space Nine, even though I will say this about Deep Space Nine. I can't say what is the superior show because I do think Babylon 5 season 2 to 4 and the later seasons of DS9 they're pretty much same in quality.
Mm-hmm.
But in DS9 that when they introduce a character, that character is going to be the same throughout the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
Dukat is the villain throughout the whole show, and that was the thing I was annoyed with because they were humanizing Dukat in like season 4 and 5 with his daughter and stuff. Hopefully, this is not a spoiler, but. And they kind of just throw that all away in season 7, where he's once again just, I'm a bad guy. That I had problems with season 7 of DS9. With this show, you think you think one of these characters are going to be like that, but no, it's quite the opposite. The more you watch.
Well, I think what's safe to say is just like they want to try to say about Star Trek, there are no villains. They're adversaries or what. I think it's more apt to say about Babylon 5 with that because of character growth. Because you do see sides changing in the game of politics that's involved there, and a more awareness of the situation of what's going on. And, both Babylon 5 and DS9, both great shows. Both great shows. I like both of them. I do hold Babylon 5 over DS9, though, as for being a favorite. And, of course, DS9 had 2 more years over Babylon 5 because Babylon 5 was always planned to be 5 years. My, that 5's coming in quite a bit.
I would take... here, Baron. I would take this. I would take Babylon... season 1, 2, 3, 4 over DS9. Mm-hmm. But if you include season 5, I would probably say DS9 edges out. Because DS9 had a better ending if you don't count season 4 as the ending and you count season 5 as the ending.
Well, the last episode, the very last, Sleeping in Light, and we're getting ahead of ourselves here, obviously, is an excellent ending episode. It was,
and for season 4.
Correct. There are some diamonds in the rough in 5. That's worth noting in there. But again, we can talk about that when we get to that season. I think.
All right. So we're gonna move on. The next one is Phil Hunter or Soul Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
This one is about a race that steals souls, or more likely they sense when people are going to die, and so they take souls. And Delenn, this one I'm not really huge fan on, but I like watching it.
Mm-hmm.
So that a passenger is picked up by Babylon Station, and he's a soul hunter, and that scares the Minbari and a lot of the races on the station to death, basically, over who he is, and they. Sinclair contemplates, throwing him overboard or
Mm-hmm.
sending him back in space, but they want to revive him first and see who he truly is. Uh, the there's mysticism and religion involved. They explain some of the Minbari beliefs and
Mm-hmm.
the Soul Hunter.
Right.
The Soul Hunter is in actuality is more of a like I said, they're more of a telepathic race, and they sense when people are going to die. But that's kind of been embedded in some of these cultures.
We're boring them.
Okay, all right then. All right,
We're
Phil.
listening. It's called
Let's-
We're
listening.
paying
What's your-
attention, Phil McCracken.
Jeez.
What's your thoughts on the Soul Hunter?
He hated it. See, I hate you all.
I liked it. So you'll get no complaints on anything Babylon 5 from me. There-
But are you going to say more than you just like it, or what do you like
what can
about
I
it?
say other than that?
Oh my gosh.
Well,
I can.
Why is cash money trending on me? Why?
Because you turn on him all the time. And do you notice the actor who plays the Soul
problem
Hunter?
is his chin. I know.
Yes,
He
you
recognized-
Because I called him out
Yes,
because he was
I re-
sleeping and
he's the same-
Mike was playing
No
tennis.
electronic frontier.
That's right. Yeah.
He's
Let's get
the,
back on topic.
Repente.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And remember, he was
Hey
also that one
guys,
scientist
hey guys,
in season 2
you're going
of
overboard.
Next
Hello.
Generation, where we also meet Dr. Solar. So
Mhm.
Yes,
Right.
he played the doctor that possessed Data.
Yeah, W. Morgan Shepherd.
That was season 2, I believe. Yeah. But basically, without going into detail, the Soul Hunter wakes up. Sinclair finds out the Soul Hunters are just they're more of just a race that they can sense death. They have telepathic powers, etc., etc. The Soul Hunter encounters Delenn, but they save Delenn. That's the end of the story. All details. Again, you gotta watch the episode. We don't want to spoil too much. It
Right.
does some backstory and Minbari beliefs and
Mhm.
et cetera, et cetera. Now
Yeah.
that's Soul Hunter. Now the next episode is one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
I just want to say one thing about this episode before we go on. Again, this does have a very important piece to the legend of Babylon 5, just as you're sitting and stating about, with the Minbari dealing with the souls, and an incident that happened with their leader, Dukat. Not to be confused with Dukat from Deep Space Nine.
So some other episodes that happen. There's an infection episode where the station is infected. There's an episode where Wando falls in love with a dancer, and a very beautiful, and it's the actress that plays Iva Humpel. Is it Iva? No, from Austin Powers, the one Austin Powers one of the henchwomen.
Why are we bringing up Austin Powers when we're talking
Because
about Babylon
she was
5?
in there.
She was in there. She was like Iva Humpel or something.
Oh boy.
Oh, also in this episode is the voice of the Emperor from the original Empire Strikes Back, Clive Revell.
Yes, the man who's still irritated that he wasn't picked, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But Born of the Purples is one that really starts getting into a little bit about Londo Milari. and some of the stuff we start learning about Centauri life, about them still having slaves, and such, various other things, and you just say, you have your wife, and then you have the one that you like, type of thing.
This is my Italian confidential secretary. Her name is Alana. Alana Facciano.
Of course, Krit had to find the clip.
Come again.
Yeah.
A lot of vagina.
Yep.
And of course, we find out one thing too.
Yeah.
Even though the men have wild hair, women are bald.
Yes, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We also meet one of Jakar's. A funny scene is Jakar and Londo bond over women, and she's like, "Ambassador." Of course, this is this actress. I read into it. She didn't like the makeup, so they replaced her with Natoff, and that's why she doesn't have red eyes. She just didn't like the makeup. So. I really like Natoff in the show. But I really do like this episode with the Clive Revell and he's my property. I want my property.
It's a very good episode.
A touching
And
episode.
ends up having what ends up having the Londo too.
And the repercussions that happens out of this. There are repercussions from this episode we'll feel all the way into even season 5.
Well, look at what happens with Sinclair. I mean, it's just you and Delin, and you're like, oh no, there's some bad things going on. And what did they do to Sinclair? And then how does he get the ship? And you're like, That's why one thing I love about Babylon 5 is that this show actually makes you think. Sci-fi that makes you think, what a concept, but really it makes you think in a good way. Who's screwing over who? Why is Sinclair left in the dark? And on and on and on. And then Psycorp, as we've talked about, they just seem Talia's feel like, oh well, they gave me this purpose, and then of course you start finding out that like you said, Bester, and the reason I say the Wessels all the time is just you want to laugh, but really no. What I love the fact is his character is so much different than Chekhov. This man is, like you said, a good evil. He can be your friend, but he was willing to stab you in the back anytime.
It shows how good the actor is, and we can talk about that when we get that episode coming up here.
Now, the next episode is a funny one. We meet Natoff, and Jakar has an assassin, and he's freaking out about it. And it's basically the whole episode is him running away from this assassin.
Are you gonna pass up Infection?
Oh, we might have not watched this episode.
Oh, I mean it's not a fantastic episode, but it does have David McCallum in it.
Did we actually skip some episodes in season 1?
We might have skipped a couple.
Okay.
It might have not been in my. Well, it was in my download folder, so. It was in
Okay. Well, the next episode would be called Infection. It had to deal with basically some biomass that turns people into walking weapons, basically a living weapon. And David McCallum, who everyone knows as Ilya. From the Man from U.N.C.L.E., now from NCIS, he was the doctor who unleashes it upon the station. And Marshall Teague plays the man that gets infected. And really, there's not really anything in this episode that really advances the overall storyline. There's all bits and pieces, but it's not something that would be, you can skip this episode and it won't affect.
Well, that was Infection. We accidentally skipped that one, but
shame on you.
It was. Well, there's always Tubi. We can always go back and watch.
Oh yeah, we can go back to it. I'm just giving you a bad time, man.
Yeah, remember, if anyone's watching, Babylon 5 is free on Tubi.
Babylon Fry? Babylon Fry?
Babylon Bly, Asai.
Shut up and take my money!
Z Mode.
Good news, everyone!
Good news, everyone. Easy mode.
Oh,
No.
no. Yeah, exactly.
Parliament of Dreams. This is an episode, important episode. Go on, Krit.
Okay, so Parliament of Dreams. Jakar finds out he has an assassin. It's pretty funny. Get to know more about the religions of the other races. We find out that no, I don't think we find out. No, that's not it. That's another episode. But it's very important. We get some funny Londo moments where he gets drunk on a table and
He's one with the gods.
I think
Yes.
is this the episode where we meet Lanier, or is that?
No, we meet Lanier in the very first episode. He's the one that delivers the bad news. Have you met my aide, or my irritating aide, or whatever? And he's the one that informs Londo that the base got attacked. Rogish 3.
No, that's Veer.
Yeah. Oh, Lanier. This might be the first time we see Lanier. Yeah.
Yeah, we meet Lanier, Delane's loyal sidekick, until the writers kind of lose their mind, but we won't get into that for a while. But Lanier is a cool character. If I can find a good picture of him,
Played by Will Robinson himself.
yeah, Bill Mummy.
Bill Mummy.
Yep. Also one of the singers on Fish Heads, Barnes and Barnes. Fish heads, roly-poly fish heads.
No, Barry. You go.
Yeah, he was.
Also,
No,
here's
I'm sure
another
he
thing.
was. I'm just kidding.
He did do a guest star appearance on DS9.
Right. They just to go off base on that one. Yeah, he passed up a role that he said was really great on DS9 because they wanted to put him in alien makeup, and after Babylon 5, he was fed up with getting all that garbage on. So he took the role that he had as a human, and was very happy.
And then, Jakar's just trying to find protection around. Again, we see some. Probably the boring part of the episode is Sinclair and his uncharismatic love interest. No offense to Sinclair, but you rather watch the whole Jakar plot instead. And, but I still think Sinclair is a great character. It's just I don't care the whole love interest, and I wasn't a big fan.
Well, she was taking over from the one that was in the pilot movie. There was always intended to be this, and I suppose when we, I'm going to hold back a little bit, but the parallels between what was originally planned and what came about, I don't want to spoil anything.
Jakar finds the assassin. There's a funny scene where the assassin has it all planned out, and he has to wear glasses to know the rule book. It's kind of a funny thing. But Nataf saves the day, and Jakar is indebted to her. I like Nataf, but unfortunately, we don't see Nataf as much in season 2, and she's played by a different actress, which annoyed Cash Money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second here.
And that's kind of the reason why she went away, because it's like, we got a second actress, it's not working out. We don't need her. Sad to say.
Yeah, it happens with a lot of productions, unfortunately.
And the ending and you won't ever see this in Star Trek, but the ending is Sinclair introducing, while the whole event was all the races showing their religion and their faith, Sinclair shows all of Earth's faith, including atheism. So I found that was a really insightful. Uh, that was a really insightful ending for an episode.
Yeah, you're
Uh,
going to find out that religion does play a big part in this series, even though J. Michael Straczynski himself is an atheist. But he understands the
But
importance.
exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
he's a sane atheist. Let's just put it that way. He's someone who thinks about it. And like Ivanova, she's a Russian Jew. So she's so the second man is a Jewish girl. Sinclair, I believe, spent time with the Jesuits at one time. Uh, and of course, as you go, obviously Londo is faithful to his gods in the Luzbakian way, kind of like Rome, and the spiritualness of the Minbari.
Well, that's why it makes so much sense, and why whatever people want to think, aliens would have their own religion too, and the fact that they don't seem to care about that anymore is, I think, it's doing them a disservice, especially if the fans are watching this. They've certainly gone away from this more so in Star Trek, I would say, but I know we're sticking on Babylon 5, but I would think if you're writing a space show, you should talk about the religion of the aliens if you have another race, even the humans, right? Because humans are more complex than they've been writing these characters now, which is very weird to me.
Yeah.
Padawannabe. Today's stream is brought to you by the number 5. Hello all, this is my B5 crash course.
You come to the right place.
You've come to the right place.
And even with the episode Soul Hunter, where we saw a little bit of the spirituality of the Minbari, basically, even J. Michael Straczynski is presenting that there is a life force within us. The Soul Hunters try to find people who are on the verge of death, especially great people, and instead of having that energy lost, they want to capture that so they can communicate and keep them in these little balls, and the spirits are in there and they can commune with them. So, there's even though it's a secular universe, there is still something more. And I think that's something in true science fiction, in true science. There's always something more. And the science is never settled, and that's kind of the important thing about this show. There's things that we don't know about yet. There's things that walk that is best not to. We're ants to them.
Right.
So that was what they present with this Babylon 5, even more so than Star Trek, which is more kumbaya.
Yeah, I get that. Yes, I agree.
And I like Star Trek. Don't get me wrong, people. I love Star Trek. I'm not being too critical of Star Trek. I'm just noting the different approaches.
They're different approaches. Yeah.
There was a comment in one of the Babylon 5 clips on YouTube that says,
"Oh boy,
this is Star Trek for idiots."
Krit got triggered again. He was like, "No,
no!" I just found it such a weird comment. It's
Are you really surprised, Krit?
This guy's hairline is. If aliens have this guy's hairline, I want to jump off a cliff. I found it funny.
Well, yeah. I mean, as it goes, it's one of those numbskulls that can't comprehend that there's other science fiction than Star Trek.
All right, next.
Exactly.
Just want to step back and say, Kodaf, the former aide, as it was died of the unexplained airlock accident a week before. So, something happened to her. And of course, we have Jakar's song, I'm thinking of calling her right after my afternoon nap. I'm thinking of sending her flowers right after my body gets back. So many fishies left in the sea, so many fishies, but no one for me. I'm thinking of hooking a love soon after my supper is done.
Oh, wow, you memorized that. I'm impressed. All right, moving on. It's time for Mind War. We are introduced to Walter Koenig as Bester. And this isn't really a memorable episode either, other than Bester, in my opinion. It's kind of just the introduction to the Psi Corps. And you get this, without giving details, there's just this very powerful telepath that's connected to... Talia Blisters and
Yeah,
Which
and
is
this actor's been
centers.
in other things too. I can't
Right.
think of, but he has. I've definitely seen him
Mhm.
in other stuff.
William Allen Young as
Mhm.
Jason Ironheart. And go back to that first picture you had with Bester. Just a second, if you'd be so kind. That's not Bester.
Where'd
Did
it
you
go?
lose him? I don't know. You're the one that's got the slideshow.
Is this it?
Yeah, that one. Two people in this picture cause a lot of changes in the Babylon 5 universe. I'll just leave it right there. Two people in that picture. Very pivotal.
Yep. So, Bester's on the hunt to find this rogue telepath. He has, they have the station help him. There's some space ghost trickery with the telepaths. There's a nice, there's an ending where, well, I'm not gonna spoil. I'll just say
No.
that a character transcends into another plane. And then the other subplot is Sinclair's girlfriend wants to go to a planet that Jakar oversees, and Jakar says, "No, you don't want to go there. Forget it." And she goes anyway, and she discovers there's a giant, ancient alien-like race there, and they disappear. And Jakar just reminds her, there's more things that are bigger than us out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice subplot, and it's funny how playful Jakar is with that character.
Yeah, I mean, just a small little segment of that is very powerful for the character building of Jakar. That's where we start really seeing that there's a different level to this character. There is something else to him. And it's like, ooh. And of course, it wouldn't have been as good as it was if it wasn't for Andreas Katsoulis. How he delivered those lines and how he played those lines. And the fact that he saved her, sent the Narns out to save her. What's with this Jakar guy?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're dealing with this, and when you're dealing with the psycho, of course, Alfred Bester, the character was named for the science fiction writer Alfred Bester, who did Tiger, also known The Stars of My Destination, and why do I have a mental block on the lead book that he had on that? But it was all about basically telepaths and telepath cops and being able to figure out who did crimes and even predict the crimes. And if you can read those books, like I said, that name the other one, I'm ashamed that Destroyed. I'll figure it out. Let me figure it out. But again, he was known to do something like that. So
Okay, the next episode, War Prayer. So to sum it up, it's just space races, and the space races are connected to Ivanova. They do play a part with building another organization. Cash Money and doesn't know this, but I won't spoil it. Ivanova is swayed by her boyfriend, who just happens to be the leader of this group at Babylon 5. Sinclair investigates. And then the subplot is a nice Romeo and Juliet story with Londo, but it has one of the best scenes, I think, in season 1, where Londo and Veer have a discussion, and Londo is contemplating. He's contemplating if he wants to help them escape so they can have a better life and actually get married. He wants them to follow tradition. You need to follow tradition.
Tradition, yes.
Tradition, yeah.
But he reflects and he says, my grandfather, he told me that his shoes were too tight and he forgotten how to dance. and then he says, "My shoes have gotten too tight, and I have forgotten how to dance." And Veer doesn't really understand what he's talking about.
Hmm.
But then Londo decides to find a way, without destroying tradition, to have those two lovers, escape to a better life. And I think he's referencing that. Honestly,
Youth has passed him.
yeah, yeah, basically, yeah.
Youth has
Yeah.
passed him. Again, it's another thing where we start looking into more of the character of Jacquard. Unlike that public face that he has out there, the bumbling fool, you start seeing the soul of Londo here in this episode. Oh, by the way, it was The Demolished Man's the other novel, by the way. So, again, Peter Jurasik, this character would not be what it is if it wasn't for him and how he delivers. And even Stephen Furst, who everyone kind of remembers as Flounder from Animal House, and how he and his character and how he delivers that character changes throughout the series. This episode, by the way, was written by D.C. Fontana. So we had crossover from Star Trek to Babylon 5.
Didn't she write some horrible episodes for season 1 of TNG?
I think she wrote one, and if it was terrible, it was because of what they were doing, not necessarily her.
Okay. Uh, but yeah. Okay, the next one. So the next one, In the Sky Full of Stars. I forgot this actor's name, but he's accompanied by Khan's second in command from Star Trek II.
Justin Scott.
They are agents, I think. You see if and they come to kidnap Sinclair to interrogate him, basically, to see if he's collaborated or something with the Minbari. I don't remember it that well. But we do get some insight, and this is where I think I'm going to give it up to Mike. I think it's Mike's turn now to... Mike, you want to take the baton and explain this episode?
I can't really explain it all that well.
All right, cash money. Oh, wait! We lost the McCracken.
Yeah, he had to go, unfortunately.
All right, I'm gonna toss the baton to Cash Money then. So.
Gosh, I don't even remember this episode that well either. Which one is this one now?
In the Sky Full of Stars.
The Sky Full of Stars.
He's captured.
All right, I have to do a little research. All right. Yeah, Sinclair is kidnapped by two men who want to know what happened to him when he disappeared in the final battle of Earth Minbari War, or something that even Sinclair does not know. Gosh, I'm trying to remember. You watch a lot of these episodes. You're trying to remember, even though it's pretty recent. I think if I remember, yeah, they were just going into Sinclair's mind, like the synopsis says, and they were, he was starting to remember, because obviously they were. Oh, good, there's a picture. Yes, yeah, they were. He was trying to remember. I can't remember why they put him in the chair though. Were they trying to get?
It was like a VR net.
They were smart. Wasn't it? They trying to suck some energy from one person to another, and then something like that.
No. Basically, what it was, he was kind of put into a VR universe so he can interrogate him and try to figure out what happened.
It had to be one of the two, sucking the energy or the
suck.
Yeah, no, it's just poor Sinclair. He doesn't always get a break, and they want to do stuff. But once this happened, if I remember correctly, this was also when he started to remember that what's going on with, did the Minbari start doing something to him? And then when he started seeing, I think when we were getting more to when they pulled off the cloak, pulled off the hood, and then he noticed who that person was, and then we start, because he starts remembering, what happened until we're not there quite yet in this season,
Right.
but this is, I think this, and I'm pretty sure that this is the first episode, right? Exactly. This is the first. It's like, oh no, why do I have these people on my ship? But yeah, he started remembering. It's just certain episodes, Baron. I'm sure you feel the same way, as you remember better than other ones. Even from season 1 of Babylon 5, but maybe you've watched Babylon 5 many more times than I have, so I'm quite new to this.
Well, to kind of go with that is what we failed to mention in the gathering. Again, important piece of Delenn is she's part of the Grey Council,
right?
The leading group of people of the Minbari.
Yes,
and with him starting remembering, pulling that back, we see her being part of that Grey Council, and he starts remembering, and now it's like, okay, here's a piece of the puzzle. What do we do now?
Well, now, is this fair to say, this might be off the wall, but I don't think so. Is this also fair to say, the Minbari, you had this war with the humans, what was it, in the timeline about 10 years ago?
Right.
So could that also be compared to something, say, with the Japanese and the Americans at one point in history?
Well, I'm sure you're going to find a lot.
Do you think that they maybe done... I'm just trying to say, could there be some kind of comparison? I guess there could be, right?
Well, when it comes around religion-wise, I think the Minbari are closer to like the religions.
Right.
But yeah, it would come down to the point that the Japanese are about to finish us off, but then stop for some reason.
Right.
And now they're getting these big shots, and they're able to they're able to sit back and say, "Oh, we want this guy on board this station, or we won't partake in such."
Right, and we start finding out why the Minbari wanted to stop the war too, and that they are in ways soothsayers, right? So yes, they're soothsayers, that they start seeing the future, and why wouldn't aliens see, especially with their technology, why wouldn't they see the future that humans couldn't see?
Well, wait until the show goes on. You'll find out, man. And I'm not going to ruin anything.
Oh no, you don't have to ruin anything. I'm just.
The butler did it.
Points. The butler did it finally.
The Vorlon did it. Yeah.
The Vorlon. But yeah, this is probably the first episode when Sinclair was starting to remember things that, oh no, somebody might have did something to me. Yeah, and started remembering stuff like we see in this picture.
All right, that's and Sinclair gets away, and then he basically has an inkling of what happened, but that's for another day to find out. All right.
A side note in the production end of this episode, the person who plays Night 2, the one that's not Khan's assistant, that was originally going to be Walter Koenig. Now, these episodes weren't filmed in the orders that they were appeared on television. Walter Koenig was actually going to be Night 2, but he suffered a heart attack. And J. Michael Zinski promised that, I'm going to bring you back, Walter, for a character. And I think he got the better character, and that was Bester. So.
Okay. That's interesting. Now, the next one is Deathwalker. And this is where it's a war criminal stumbles on the ship. It kind of references the Axis crimes against humanity. It's kind of a reference to that. But the Earth wants to have her so she can continue working on her. That's not Deathwalker, that's Natoff. Natoff and other races want her taken down.
For war crimes.
War crimes, but Earth wants to save her because she can produce immortality serum.
Right.
Yeah, played by Sarah Douglas, by the way. Superman 2, amongst other things.
Mhm.
Robin Curtis, by the way, is also in this Savick number 2 in this episode. And yeah, and she's the last of her race. The Delgar, the war with the Delgar was the first conflict, interstellar conflict that Earth really went out there to flex their muscles on. And the result of it was the Delgar race came to an end, except for apparently this one person. And yeah, what's all about? Why is she so? Why do they want her so bad?
She tortured. Basically, she's basically she's like the alien version of Joseph Mengele, where she experiments on races and stuff like that too. And yeah, war crimes, major war crimes, killing civilians and stuff like that. Not really good, man. And there's a whole debate if they should keep her because she is making this immortality serum.
Right.
But so the races come to a compromise, and she is let go. But as she is leaving, Kosh, who barely appears in the show, he only appears. Oh, meanwhile, hold on.
Yeah.
The same episode, Kosh is having an interview with this weird guy with a hat, and he asks Talia Winters to scan him while they're doing this transaction of just mumbo jumbo, which is just them doing riddles and stuff. This goes on. Talia Winters gets visions, but she thinks, why is she really here? They don't really need her. Then they find out that she was there because they were using her to scan her thoughts, or through this guy with the hat who had a brain. And then afterwards, Kosh comes out and kills the Deathwalker and says, "You're not ready for more." Oh, what is that a spoiler?
Yeah,
well,
you're not ready
too
for
late
immortality. Yeah.
You're not ready for immortality. And that's the end of the episode.
But the hour is scampering. It is the hour of scampering. And understanding is a three-edged sword. A couple of cautiisms right there. Just to let you know, the guy, Abbott, the guy with the hat, he was known as a vicar, which is kind of a play off of VCR. He's a recorder.
Yeah.
And even though it seems like he's a copy of Harlan Ellison, it's not. The part was originally written for Gilbert Gottfried, but he was unavailable to do the part. So can you imagine Gilbert Gottfried playing that?
Yeah.
Oh my God! I'm here to scan.
Yeah,
I'm here to scan your thoughts.
that'd be absolutely great.
Yes.
Absolutely great.
The next one we did not watch. Another
Believers?
missing episode.
Yeah, I noticed we
Okay.
missed some, I guess. Wow.
Okay, well,
Well,
Believers,
Yeah,
the
I
Believers
didn't
in
watch it either.
Just do a summary.
Well, basically, Believers, it was written by David Gerald of Trouble with Tribbles fame. Basically, it's an episode about the rights of parents over in their religious beliefs and in society. Basically, going with people who don't believe in medical, or in this case, having surgery done because it's an affront to God, and the repercussions that come from decisions that they have in there, because it involves around an alien kid who is dying. The doctor can save him, but result in surgery, and the people believe if they cut him open, his soul will escape, and he will not be who he is anymore. And that's all centered around with that episode primarily. It's an episode it's an episode you can miss. Really, it is.
I put a message in private chat.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah.
All right.
I have no problem with that. Yeah.
I have every problem with it.
And that way we can get in more detail with the next few episodes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's
beginning
a
of the
lot of
story.
detail. There's a lot of detail.
So for the final episode, we're gonna talk about Survivors, which is Garibaldi, which is a nice episode where Garibaldi is framed for murder. Um, he talks about his origins being on Mars and how he was a drunkard, which kind of references Jerry Doyle's problem in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Him going back into the bottle. Someone that died under his watch, his daughter comes, and she's the leader of this investigation,
Mm-hmm.
which is under the president because the president was involved. Not involved, but the attack was planned.
Mm-hmm.
So it's they think it's Garibaldi, and Garibaldi goes on the run. He goes into detail about his relationship with this girl, and how he failed her and how he went back to the bottle. It's basically an adventure of Garibaldi to find out who is doing this con job on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Garibaldi is an interesting character. He's a flirt. I don't think this is really spoiling much. He's a flirt. He's had alcoholism problems, which a lot of people in his situation probably could have, especially dealing with people's deaths on the ship from wars and different situations. So. But he's also strong, and he doesn't put up with people's garbage ever.
No.
Really.
Yeah. Basically, Jerry Doyle.
He doesn't. When he feels he offends somebody, he's actually cares about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Garibaldi's character. Garibaldi, excuse me. Yeah, Garibaldi. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, and the he was close to the person that died. It was his superior, and his daughter also referred to him as Uncle Mike. Or Uncle Michael. She considered him his uncle.
Right.
So she felt betrayed, and of course now she's hunting him down. And who better than her to know how Garibaldi works, because he can hide in Babylon 5. He knows where to go, and he's down below, and he still gets caught.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, she's out for blood. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's blinding her.
Yeah, and I thought they played off each other very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do.
And they pretty much the two find out who the real person is, and I think it was a home guard agent or.
Let's see. I think so.
Okay.
I think it was
a member of Home Guard that tried to kill the president.
Yes.
Okay. So it was Home Guard. She forgives him. Mm-hmm. She finally forgives him, and he apologizes for her. And that's kind of the episode. I don't think there's a subplot to this one.
Not too terribly much. I mean, it's basically kind of centering around, of course, Garibaldi, his problems, but people thinking him as a no good drunk, stuff like that.
Yep. It starts coming back his demons, basically. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And of course, he's got to do the Garibaldi way to fix everything, but he's still again captured. He's a prisoner. So, and the person who's captured him wants to see him basically dead. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, it's been a lovely stream. But we are actually this is gonna be a part 1 of 2, since we want Master Mike to catch up, and of course, We gotta go back and watch some of the episodes we missed. Maybe,
Yeah, I guess
maybe another
wow,
time.
another time, yes.
Hmm.
But
And
so I want to give it up for our co-hosts, and I'll let them speak. And starting with you, Baron.
it will end in fire. I mean, this is a great start to the series. Like I said before, people wanted to dismiss this first season, but after you see the series through, you realize what important little gems are in this season and how characters go. So, it's on Tubi. Watch it. This is great science fiction. This is science fiction in the lines of JMS inspired by things like Doc Smith and his Lensman series, and various other, science fiction, and being good friends with Harlan Ellison as well. So this is something that came back to the crux of the space opera slash hard, to a degree hard science fiction. Again, there's always loopholes in it, and this is a different tone science fiction that we needed. Star Trek is fine, but there's other ways to look at things and other universes to play in. And Babylon 5 fills that spot excellently.
Okay, how about you, Mike?
I mean, Babylon 5, it has its pluses, it does have its minuses, but you know what? Babylon 5 is willing to tell stories that Star Trek in general wouldn't tell. And that's one of the things that really does separate the series. And, have characters go to certain lengths that you wouldn't see a character in a Star Trek series go. Just to find things out. I mean, this last episode we talked about with Garibaldi. So, if you're hesitant on watching Babylon 5, give it a chance. It deserves it. I mean, here it is, 30 years later, and we're still talking about it.
I hate hearing that. 3 years.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mike. And then finally, Kashkar.
Kashkar. Yes, what I like about this show and why I would tell people to give it a chance is, like, if you want to learn more about, like, aliens have religion. Sinclair, the things that what is he going to do and what is he not going to do. It shows leadership. He shows compassion. The show also has good values, which is definitely missing in a lot of sci-fi shows and a lot of shows in general. Those are things that I'd like to see again. That's the one reason when I grew up, when I was a lot younger and was watching Star Trek, when I watched something like this, how a lot of entertainment has changed so much that we need to bring back these good values about family, about religion, about people who don't like religion and why they don't like it, and these conflicts between different races. Some of that's still there, but they go deeper into that, and there's betrayal. There's a lot I like about Babylon 5. So if somebody's looking for that, or other people are looking for a show that is old, that is still quite enjoyable. I mean, I can't say any episode that I watched of season 1, since we talked about half of season 1 basically, saying I can't say I hate any of them, because they all made me think, and I appreciate that of any show I watch.
You kind of said it right there, and that's the one thing about Star Trek. Humans in the Federation are flawless and whatever. You have to have the struggles from the aliens they meet. This series, no, humans are flawed. They're making mistakes, but
Yes.
it's a much more hopeful future than even Star Trek, because 1, we're still there. 2, we're crawling out. This is the dawn of the third age, so it means humanity's moving into another era, another stepping stone in the universe, in their growth, and you'll see that as it goes along with the show, especially one particular episode. I'm not going to say, but you're seeing a more, I think, believable growth of humans reaching out for the stars and reaching out for what's beyond.
I agree.
I agree. Thank you, Baron. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. We will continue with season 1 next weekend. I hope we went into a lot of detail. I wanted to say Garibaldi walks here to there, and et cetera, et cetera, and but I want to just we want to get to the point, basically.
And
So
so it begins.
yeah, next week we will go in a little more detail, as the next few episodes are very important to the story. We'll also cover some episodes we missed. I noticed we missed a few episodes in season 1. And oh boy, Zaphras.
Safra's
No,
not happy you missed. No, not the one. Not the one.
not the show. Not the show. No. And yeah, so I want to thank Baron, Mike, and Cash. And I want to thank Padawan BJT and Chris Schober for joining the chat. And we will continue this next week.
And
So,
don't forget
thank you
Phil
all
McCracken, who just basically said, I like it.
And I want to again thank you all for coming. This is our first stream. This will be a continuous stream. We're going to review all 5 seasons over time. So again, thank you all for coming, and please like and subscribe. And what's an exit tagline? My shoe. How about my shoes are too tight, and I've forgotten how to dance.
More like, what do you want, you moon-face assassin of Troy?
That'll work out, I guess. All right. Thank y'all for coming.
Yay.